Hello and welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are returning, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being on this quest for the truth with me, and hopefully I can help you with your own journey along the way as we find out more about history and about what was available to us. Maybe, it can help us in our journey some way, somehow. I'm a believer of that. So this video is like a follow-up to the mysterious healing pool video because I've actually found proof. I've been looking at some old newspaper articles, which obviously I'm going to attach to this video, and the one that I've managed to find, that's the earliest one, dates back to 1897, and it's County Advertiser and Herald for Staffordshire and Worcestershire. And the article says Saltwell's Baths in Saltwell's Wood near Brierley Hill. The celebrated Saltwell's Baths for the cure of rheumatism, sciatica, gout, etc. are now open to the public with every convenience combined with moderate charges, refreshments of first class quality, 4275k. Miss Anne Foe, proprietor. Right, so that's the earliest one that I've managed to find. The next one in date is Saturday 27th of September 1913, and this is in the County Express, and this says doings in Dudley, notes by veteran. Okay, and the article says some years ago somebody made a suggestion considered by some as rather a wild one. So I'm just going to stop there. Some years ago, so this is 1913, so that means some years ago before then. Okay, just want to clarify that. Someone made a suggestion considered by some as rather a wild one, that as there were great medicinal properties in the water at Saltwells, it might be brought into Dudley. The castle grounds were mentioned as an ideal place for operations. As a spa, a better spot could hardly be found. It would be a second Landrindod Wells. Mr. Foster of Sedgley now says that if the waters of Lindrandrindod could be taken to Sedgley, the Welsh town would find it a serious rival. Sedgley undoubtedly has a splendid air. In fact, one of its old inhabitants some years ago declared that nobody died in Sedgley. Now that's a bold statement, that is, right? The people, he said, simply withered away. With bath treatment at Dudley and the waters at Sedgley, we should indeed be a combined health resort. Okay, and then there's a few other lines below that saying about the train, and there's actually a really interesting comment in here further down. It says that the natives are restless or something, which I found to be really odd because the article is dated 1913. Now surely by that time there was no natives anywhere in the UK. Think to what the world was like in 1913. Obviously we can't think because we wasn't there, but looking at history, what we're taught, and the pictures that were shown, where's the native people? Unless they mean like the people, what else do they mean? I don't understand that. Right, and then the next article that I found was, let me just zoom in. Okay, and this article is from Saturday 25th of September 1915, so 2 years after the last one, in the County Express, and it states, it has often been advocated that more should be made of the baths at Saltwells. Some years ago there was a suggestion which had a great attraction about it. It was to develop the baths and bring the water into a spa, which could be fashioned into the Dudley Castle grounds. Whether the quantity of the water at Saltwells or the engineering difficulties would admit of such a possibility could only be determined by actual experiment. So basically, they're not stating whether it's been done. So from 1897 or whatever it was to 1915, they still haven't done it. But before that time, it must have been used, because how would people know about it? So when did it stop being used? 1897, like previous to that. So it's very, very important that date is okay. So whether the quantity of water at salt wells or the engineering difficulties would admit of such a possibility could only be determined by actual experiment. So they're saying that they need to try it first. But when one goes to Landrin wells and sees what has been done there with the natural sources at command, one feels rather jealous. Of course, there may not be the slightest comparison. One hardly thinks that there is, except that the spa, or one of them, has been formed in exactly the same surroundings as it might be in the Dudley Castle grounds. People drink in the water in the woodland setting of rare attractiveness. Baths may be held at Dudley under like conditions if there is enough water at salt wells for the purpose. So they're on about diverting the water from salt wells there to Dudley Castle. Now, as I said, I had a conversation with Paul Cook from Hidden History, and I said this, right, and I can't believe I've just come across this. Salt wells, there's one main road that's connecting Himley Hall, Salt Wells, into Dudley, and it runs for miles and miles. I mean, it goes past my house, so I don't even know how many miles that road runs for, because in modern times it might have been broken up, but it's still the same road. So they might have sectioned it off with different names, but really it's the same road. It's one straight road. Okay, it's a really long road, and what my point is back then, if there was thinking about channeling the water from salt wells, which is that long road all the way to Dudley Castle, which is one straight road, okay, what was there before that main road was built on top of it? Was it a canal? You know, what was that the way that they was getting access to the water then? I'm not sure, I don't know, I'd need to look at plans. And then basically the article just goes on about a gentleman of the name of Squeers kept a school in Yorkshire many years ago, and a precious, cruel academy it was. Now, think about that. Precious and cruel. That doesn't really go, them two words don't go together. So that's showing you that it's meant, but it's not good. But it's meant, but it's not, it's frowned upon. You get what I mean? Okay, that great novelist reformer, Charles Dickens, by the means of it, had a shot at a system and brought down the whole structure. What a contrast with the school life of today. Okay, just get ready for this. The boys and girls of the most plebeian extraction have their slightest needs looked after. It goes so far as to finding a means for stopping the toothache. Okay, the Dudley Education Yearbook tells how that the body has been thoughtful in this direction, and had it not been for the war as an excellent scheme had it have not been for the war, an excellent scheme would have been in working order. Okay, as it is, there is an item of expenditure in the accounts under the heading of medical inspection of school children. Okay, so basically this goes on to what everybody always thinks, the war was like a reset. Okay, it's got to have been, because look at how many things we had access to before the war, before the First World War and the Second one, and it just seems like First World War didn't quite reset it, so they needed the Second World War, because there was schools for children. Like, listen to what it says. It goes so far as to finding a means for stopping the toothache. You see? So there were schools out there teaching people. Now, I've learned about the Druid order and stuff like that. Like, I do say that I am a baby Druid. Obviously, I don't know everything, but I know a bit about that. And there was Druid schools. So I wonder if these things, what they're saying was medieval, was actually Druid. You know, I just think it's fascinating, and I can't believe that I've stumbled across these. Someone just told me to just look. So the next article that I found is dated Monday the 2nd of July 1934. Okay, so that's like 20 years after the last one that I found. That's not to say ever in history. That's just to say what I have found. Okay, and this is the Birmingham Daily Gazette. Okay, so these ain't like just pop-up newspapers. These are big newspapers. You know what I mean? So the heading is Salt Wells and its Waters. There must be lots of untapped waters with certain curative properties under the fertile soil of the Midlands. For many, many years, the saline spa at the Salt Wells between Broyley Hill and Quarry Bank has been allowed to retain its mineral water, which history relates was the best in the kingdom for almost every disease incident to the human body. I just can't believe what I'm reading here. Untapped and dormant. Okay? So that is confirming that for many, many years, the waters in the Midlands. So it's not just saying the waters at Salt Wells, because if you read the first part of it, there must be lots of untapped waters with certain curative properties under the fertile soil of the Midlands. So this isn't the first place. So I'm definitely going to be looking into this now and seeing what other healing waters there were around the Midlands and the rest of the British Isles. Okay, so the article goes on to say, now I hear efforts are being made to give the public the benefit of this health restoring nectar. Okay, nectar. That's a very important word. The location is near to the Salt Wells Woods, where there still exists baths known as Lady Wood Saline Spa. Now, don't forget, this article was dated 1934. I go to Salt Wells quite often, and there's no wood there saying saline spa or anything. But I found places where I think could be this beautiful water, because it's odd. It's very odd, and you can tell that where they've tried to redirect and stuff like that. But my question is, why would they do this? Why would they do this? Well, I'll tell you why. Because before 1887, I think it was, this is the kind of water that we had access to. Okay, free yin water. Okay, primary water. We had natural waterfalls, you know, things like that. Spring water. Okay, and then along came an MP, which I only found about this when I went to Himley Hall, because an exhibition was on there about him, which is so, like, it's so serendipity. It's unbelievable. I don't know what the other word for that is, but it is. He actually installed the water systems for the slums, quote unquote slums, of Dudley and all the counties surrounding. So before then, obviously, we just had natural water. Now, when they shut off this well, which I'm presuming has got to be before then, people started getting cholera, TB, everything else. So along came this MP who installed the council's water system as we know it now. Well, not the council's water system, sorry, the water structures that we know now. But he later went on to be part of all the council housing in Dudley and the Wolverhampton area. So, but that is literally another video, unless I might put it onto the end of this one, I'm not sure. But this is just mind-blowing. Like, and I found these newspaper articles. So I heard about this I can't even remember where I heard about it now. I've done that much research into it, and you can't find anything on the internet about it. So you have to really deep dive into these things, you know. You have to really put the work in, put the effort in, and look for it. If you follow your gut, because if you believe something, if you really truly believe it, there's a chance that it's true, because you don't get these things for nothing. Like, it's called instinct, it's called your gut feeling. If you can't leave something alone, go looking for it, definitely, 100%. I just want to go back to the article about Sedgley and about the air being splendid, which is quite mad, because earlier today, and this is what I mean about serendipity, earlier today when I was looking through articles, I found Sedgley's got a massive tower, right? And apparently this tower, I might attach a picture actually. I think I should be able to attach a picture to this. Sedgley's got like an observatory, or that's what apparently it is. But the guy that built it, apparently he was an astronomer. So it's very, very interesting how this article says that it had splendid air, and in fact, the people there said to wither away and not die. So that's really interesting, that is, and I'm definitely going to look into that. So yeah, I think this is an amazing find. I had to share it with you all because obviously, you know, I'm on that quest for all this underground healing water, all this, you know, and I know that it's all linked, because how can all of a sudden, you know, people start getting ill and sick at the same time when they shut down all these, blocked up all these places? Even like they say that there was medieval manners and stuff like that. I think there was healing centres, you know, through the water. That's what I really do believe, because water's so powerful, and if you've got access to it like that, you just imagine what kind of things I was healing. It just blows my mind, you know, because you've only got to look and it's right there in front of your faces. So they definitely, it was all planned 100%. And that leads me on to say about Brooke Robinson. He was an MP for Dudley in 1857, okay? So these are all the right times when things started changing. Well, that article's 1897, and it said that the baths were open. So I'm not too sure here what went on, but when he got elected, okay, at that time Dudley was classed as the most unhealthy place to live by the General Board of Health, and he instigated the installation of clean water supplies and sewage systems. And as I said, later he went on to the extensive development of counter housing during the early 20th century. And like I said before, he relocated the occupants of local slum housing. Now, I found this out when I went to Himley Hall on my little ancient cave hunting, you know, my stone adventures. And we actually went into the house, and this little you know, exhibition was being put on by a lovely lady called Pam, and she asked us if we knew anything about him. We was like, no, didn't know anything about him at all. And she told us to have a look around and stuff like that. And I ain't kidding you, the guy, he collected loads of things like from all over the world and stuff like that, and he had a really keen interest in art and stuff. And like the stuff that was there was just like, I was not expecting to see anything like that. Like there was pottery, there was this figure which was a 1st century BC excavated at Hebron in Palestine, you know, and there's the terracotta lamp, 1st century BC, excavated on Mount of Olives, you know, and it was a personal item basically, and it would have been placed in a tomb. Now, with everything that I found out recently, like, is that Palestine in the Middle East, or Palestine in America, or Palestine in Wales? You know, like, what's going on here? And like, why, even back then, like, why was he collecting those things, and like, what made him into that? There's not much about him online, to be honest, other than like he was an MP. But I just find it fascinating that woman was there, and she told me about the water when I'm all about the water. So it was really quite, it was just like the universe saying, yeah, you're on the right path here. So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. But it's just interesting how, you know, all of a sudden there's no access to things, or them giving you access to it, but you've got to pay. And then all of a sudden they introduce that new water system. It's just, you know, they can't hide it when you do your own research. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, if you found anything in your area. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sending you lots of love, lots of light as always. Take care.